Hayato waited, kneeling beside a low table, a single candle flickering between them. Today, he said, you begin learning how to hear your mind without obeying it. Ren swallowed. His chest still felt tight from the weeks before. But something about Hayato's presence slowed the noise, even if just a little. The first lesson was simple. Sit, breathe, and allow thoughts to rise without grabbing them. It sounded easy. It wasn't. Within seconds, Ren's mind fired in every direction. Work, bills, conversations, mistakes, fears, imaginary futures. His leg bounced, his shoulders tensed. He opened his eyes. I can't stop thinking, Ren muttered. Hayato shook his head. You're not here to stop thinking. You're here to stop chasing. Ren frowned. He didn't understand yet. But this was only the beginning. Hayato's story unfolded slowly across their early sessions. He had once been a kendo champion with a temper that nearly cost him everything. Matches, friendships, and eventually his mentor's trust. He trained relentlessly but lived in constant inner conflict. His teacher gave him one final chance. Master Seishin Chola, or walk away from the path entirely. That discipline saved my life, Hayato said. And now it will save yours if you let it. Ren listened. Skeptical, but hopeful. Hayato taught through demonstration rather than lectures. He performed a single silent bow, then held still, completely still for nearly a minute. Not rigid, not stiff, just present. Ren felt his nerves quiet without understanding why. This is the first principle, Hayato said. Stillness before action. A calm mind is a strong mind. Ren repeated the phrase in his head, but repetition was not mastery. He was about to know that. Over the next weeks, Ren followed a simple daily routine Hayato gave him. 5 minutes of silent breathing, 10 minutes of attention anchoring, 1 moment of deliberate stillness before any important task. Easy in theory, unforgiving in practice. The first morning, Ren sat on the edge of his bed. He set the timer, closed his eyes, and immediately his thoughts exploded. The meeting later, the message he forgot to send, the shame from the subway, the fear he'd never get better, the panic of trying to calm down when calming down felt impossible. His breath sped up, his chest tightened. He opened his eyes after 30 seconds, shaking. That's it, he whispered. Why is this so hard? But he didn't quit. He went to the dojo after work. Hayato saw the tension in Ren's face. You tried, he said. That is enough for day one. Ren's voice cracked. It didn't work. Hayato poured tea, calm as a resting air. You are not training for victory. You are training for endurance. The words pierced deeper than Ren expected. But something inside him steadied. He returned the next day, and the next. Progress was slow, almost invisible, but it was happening. Chapter 3. The Test. 1 month in, Ren experienced his first real crisis. Work exploded with deadlines. 3 projects collided at once. His manager grew impatient. Ren felt the pressure building again. The familiar panic was rising. The same crushing tightness in his chest. At his desk, he nearly spiraled again, lost.
The key to a perfect family vacation? Separate rooms. This summer, get 1,000 bonus points and a chance. This summer, get 1,000 bonus points and a chance to win 250,000 bonus points.
Whatever.
Then, lost in the frantic rush of incoming emails and overlapping tasks. What's the point? He muttered. I'm not changing. He left the office feeling defeated and headed straight to the dojo. Hayato greeted him with soft eyes but a firm posture. Tell me what happened, he said. Ren unloaded everything. Every mistake. Every fear. Every worry. Hayato listened quietly. Then he said, noise does not disappear. You learn how to meet it. He placed a small wooden bowl on the ground and poured a cup of water into it. This is your mind, Hayato said. He tapped the bowl's rim lightly. Ripples shook the surface. This is the world. He placed his hand above the bowl. His shadow blocked the overhead light. The water calmed. And this, Hayato whispered, is Seishin Chowa stilling the internal ripples even when the world shakes. Ren stared at the bowl. For the first time, the idea wasn't abstract. It was visible. Try again tomorrow, Hayato said. Come back stronger. Ren nodded. Breathe slowly. Shoulders lighter. But he didn't expect what came next. And right at that moment, as Ren watched the water settle, Hayato leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. You know, he said quietly, there are others like you. Ren looked up, confused. Warriors throughout the centuries, Hayato continued, have walked this path. And today, in your time, there are men seeking the same discipline, presence, purpose. He opened his eyes and looked at Ren directly. You don't walk alone. This is not a solitary journey. There is a community, a brotherhood of people training their minds every day, building inner strength. Ren felt something warm spread through his chest. If you feel the calling, Hayato said, join the path. We train together, not as followers, as warriors. He bowed slightly. And now, Hayato said with a smile, continue breathing. Ren nodded slowly, feeling for the first time that he wasn't fighting alone. The next 12 months became Ren's true training arc. He learned to anchor his breath, to pause before reacting, to sit in silence even when his mind hated it. Some days he failed completely. Some mornings he nearly quit. But Hayato reminded him, identity beats motivation. Ren repeated that line dozens of times. It became his internal shield. Small victories began to appear. He finished tasks without panic. Co-workers noticed he looked calmer. His sleep stabilized. He wrote in his journal, I'm starting to feel like myself again. But setbacks still came. Old habits returned unexpectedly. Late night spirals tried to pull him back. Some days felt like day one all over again. Hayato simply said, return to your breath. Return to your center. The rituals deepened. Hayato taught him walking meditation. Steps aligned with breath. He practiced candle focus training. Gazing softly until the mind settled. He learned kokusai, a breathing method used by old swordsmen to regulate fear. Ren felt a change. Slow, subtle, but real. Chapter 4. Warrior Psychology. Hayato waited until Ren had endured months of storms before revealing the deeper structure, the system behind Seishin Chowa. Discipline must have a shape, he said. Otherwise it dissolves under pressure. He called it the 4 pillars of mind harmony, a framework once used by samurai to prepare for chaos, and now used by Ren to rebuild the architecture of his inner world. Pillar 1. Breath. Governs fate. Hayato placed Ren's hand on his chest. Your breath reveals your truth, he said. The samurai believed the breath was the bridge between emotion and clarity. Modern neuroscience agrees. Slow diaphragmatic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, decreasing amygdala activity and lowering anxiety. Ren practiced 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 6 to 8 second exhale. This extended exhale calmed his internal storms within minutes. Have you ever noticed, Hayato said, how your breath changes before your thoughts do? Ren nodded. That's the first doorway into Seishin Chowa. Identity greater than motivation. Breath greater than fear. Pillar 2. One thought, one focus. This was the heart of the practice. Hayato drew a single line with a brush on white paper. That line, he said, is one intention. No noise, no split mind. Psychology calls this selective attention, the ability to hold one cognitive thread while ignoring others. Ren trained this through candle, focus, single task work bursts, daily attention, anchoring. Be honest, Hayato said. Does this happen to you too? You try to work, and your mind pulls you in 10 directions at once. Ren smiled sadly. Every day, this pillar rewires your habit loops through neuroplastic repetition. Focus became his identity, not his struggle. Pillar 3. The mind of space. This principle taught Ren the power of the pause. Samurai used Ma, the intentional space between actions, to avoid impulsive mistakes in battle. In modern psychology, this mirrors responsive vision, the skill of inserting a conscious pause before reacting. Ren practiced 3 forms. Pause before speaking. Pause before checking his phone. Pause before responding to stress. This single habit changed everything. What happened next surprised him. He stopped spiraling, he stopped reacting, he started choosing. A calm mind is a strong mind. Pillar 4. Emotion in order. This was not suppression. It was alignment. Hayato taught Ren to name emotions before being consumed by them. Neuroscience calls this effect labeling, which reduces limbic activation and restores prefrontal clarity. Ren used a simple formula. I feel emotion because reason, and right now I will action.
What's on your wish list? A new bike, concert tickets, a weekend getaway? In Alberta, every beverage container adds up. Containers 1 liter or under are worth 10 cents, and over 1 liter are worth 25 cents. That's real money back in your pocket. Whether you're new to Alberta or a long-time local, returning your beverage containers is an easy way to make a big impact on our beautiful province while putting money back in your pocket. Visit your nearest bottle depot today and start cashing in. Bring them in, get it back with ABCRC.
like when a nibble from a cute monkey leads to a hospital visit. Vacation confidently with AMA Travel Insurance, an Orion product underwritten by Echelon. Learn more at amatravel.ca/travelsafe.
You've dreamed about doing what you love for a living. Now's the time to go for it. The experts at AMA will help you start your business and support you as it grows. So what are you waiting for? Go from idea to official at ama.av.ca/business.
Action. This practice weakened the power of overthinking loops and rewired emotional responses. Have you ever felt this shift inside yourself? I had to ask. When naming a feeling suddenly makes it smaller? Ren nodded. Yes, exactly that. That was Seishin Chowa working through you. By the end of these lessons, Ren understood the truth. Mind harmony wasn't mystical. It was practical, trainable, repeatable, a system anyone can embody. And soon he would prove it. Chapter 5. The first transformation. Transformation never arrives all at once. It comes quietly, like dawn light slipping through a paper screen. That's how Ren's new life began. The first changes were almost invisible. He woke up with less dread. His breath no longer trembled. In the mornings, the noise of his mind hadn't disappeared, but it no longer dictated his direction. At work, he paused before opening his laptop. One breath, anchoring attention. The same tasks that once shattered his focus now felt manageable. A co-worker named Ayako noticed first. "You seem calmer," she said one afternoon. Ren blinked. Calm wasn't something he'd been called in years. He didn't know it then, but the four pillars were beginning to reshape the architecture of his brain. Neuroplastic pathways that once fed anxiety were being replaced with deliberate, stable patterns. A calm mind is a strong mind. 3 months later, the changes became undeniable. Ren finished projects early. He began organizing his days with intention instead of fear. He stopped spiraling over small mistakes and began responding with clarity. At night, his breathing exercises quieted the mental chatter that once kept him awake. Sleep returned. Deep, unbroken sleep. One evening, he saw an old message thread from a friend he hadn't spoken to in months. For the first time, he didn't feel guilt when he opened it, just presence. His friend replied instantly, "Well, where have you been? You sound different." And he was different. Identity beats motivation. Every day, Ren became more aligned with the man he wanted to be. But transformation is never linear. One rainy morning, everything collapsed at once. A sudden deadline. A tense meeting. A misunderstanding that left him feeling cornered and overwhelmed. The old tightness gripped his chest. Thoughts began to scatter. His breath weakened. For a moment, the past tried to reclaim him. This was his breaking point. But then something finally snapped. Not in panic, in clarity. Ren closed his eyes. He inhaled slowly. 4 seconds. Held. Exhaled. The world softened. His focus sharpened. The noise dissolved into stillness. He used every pillar. Kokusei's steady breath. Each in one intention. Ma paused before reaction. Joy. Naming the feeling. Then letting it settle. He returned to the meeting with a level voice and a steady gaze. A co-worker whispered later, "I don't know how you stayed so calm." Ren just smiled. Because he knew. Months turned into a year. He wasn't practicing Seishin Chowa anymore. He was living it. People noticed. His manager praised his clarity. His parents said he sounded different on the phone. Friends said he seemed more grounded, more present. But the biggest change came from within. One night, Ren stood by his apartment window, the same place where months ago he had collapsed under the weight of his own thoughts. But now, the city's lights felt gentle. The noise felt distant. His breath was steady. He whispered to himself, "I am no longer the man who ran from his mind. I am the man who meets it." This was the moment Hayato had trained him for, when discipline becomes identity, and identity becomes freedom. Chapter 6. The Deep Training Arc. Ren returned to the dojo one evening, just as the sun dipped below the rooftops. Master Hayato swept the same wooden floor. Movement steady as always. You've changed," Hayato said without looking up. Ren bowed. "Because of what you taught me." Hayato shook his head. "I didn't teach you peace. I taught you alignment. You created the peace." Ren felt the truth settle deep inside him. He had walked through chaos. He had rebuilt his mind. He had become someone new, someone whole. And as he stepped out of the dojo into the soft night air, he realized Seishin Chowa wasn't a technique. It was a way of being. Chapter 7. The final reveal. His transformation wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the kind people brag about. It was quiet. discipline, rooted in presence, and it changed his life forever. In the end, Ren did not conquer the world. He conquered the part of himself that once believed he was powerless. That is the quiet truth behind Seishin Chowa. It does not promise a silent world. It promises a silent center within the world, a place the noise cannot touch. As Ren walked home from the dojo that final evening, the city moved around him. Cars passing, voices rising, neon lights flickering against the pavement. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had changed, because the battlefield had shifted from the outer world to the inner one, and for the first time, he was winning. And as he continued walking, he remembered a lesson Hayato had given him many months ago, a lesson he'd only half heard then, but now understood completely. When the ancient warriors trained Seishin Chowa, Hayato had said, they didn't train alone. They gathered, they shared the path, they learned from each other. Ren remembered how isolated he felt in the beginning, how alone. But now, walking through the city, he felt something different. Somewhere out there were others like him. Men and women fighting the same noise, the same anxiety, the same sense of falling apart. And some of them perhaps right now were also beginning their journey. You don't walk alone, Hayato had said. Join the community, train together, walk together. Ren felt warmth in his chest. He wasn't finished. He was only beginning, and now it was time to share the path. This is where his story becomes yours. You too, live in a world that demands your attention, fractures your focus, and feeds your doubts. But within you, there is a place of alignment, a steel point waiting to be reclaimed. Seishin Chowa reminds us that harmony is not the absence of chaos. It is the discipline of meeting chaos with a centered mind. It teaches that breath is an anchor, stillness is a weapon, presence is liberation. A samurai once knelt in the rain, learning to be unmoved. Ren learned in a crowded city. You will learn wherever you stand now, because the path is neither ancient nor modern. It is human, and somewhere in the space between your thoughts, there is a quiet rhythm waiting to be rediscovered. Step into that rhythm. Let the noise pass. Let your mind settle. And listen, because clarity begins in the silence that follows. Stillness over chaos. Clarity over fear. Presence over noise. Let these words settle in you. Let your breath guide your direction. Let your discipline shape who you become. Now breathe. And when the silence arrives, trust it.
You wake up, you scroll, you react, you rush. And 6 months later, you're still the same person. Not because you lack ambition, not because you're broken, but because your mornings belong to chaos, and chaos shapes identity. Most men want transformation. They want discipline, confidence, strength, a life they're proud of. But they search for it in the wrong place, in motivation, in plans, in someday. They wait for the moment they'll finally feel ready. That moment never comes. And so they stay trapped. Same habits, same thoughts, same version of themselves, year after year. But there was a man who understood something different. A man who spent his life in solitude, perfecting not just the sword, but the self. His name was Minamoto Musashi, undefeated in over 60 duels. A warrior, strategist, and philosopher who became a legend not because of talent, but because of what he did every single morning. Musashi didn't believe in motivation. He believed in practice. He believed that who you are is decided in the first hour of your day, not by what you want, not by what you say, but by what you do when no one is watching. And if you follow his way, if you commit to this one practice every morning for the next 6 months, no one will recognize you, not your friends, not your family, not even yourself. If that's the version of you that you've been searching for, stay until the end of this video. Like it now, so you remember to come back to it. And subscribe, because this channel is built for men who are done waiting and ready to rebuild. Now, type this sentence in the comments. I act without delay. Nothing else, just that line. It's your declaration, your starting point. Let me tell you why most people fail at transformation. It's not lack of desire. It's not even lack of discipline. It's misunderstanding what discipline actually is. They think discipline is forcing yourself to do hard things, grinding, suffering. powering through with willpower alone. And when that willpower runs out, which it always does, they collapse, they binge, they quit, and then they blame themselves for being weak. But discipline, the way Musashi practiced it, is not about force. It's about alignment. It's about removing the internal wall between what you want and what you do. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to fight themselves every morning just to get out of bed. Musashi wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "Do nothing which is of no use." Every action had to serve the path. Every morning had to sharpen the blade, not the weapon, but the mind. And that's the principle we're building this practice on. Not productivity, not motivation, identity. Because here's the truth. Most self-improvement content won't tell you. You don't need a better routine. You need to become a different Toffen person. And that transformation doesn't happen in a single decision. It happens in the repetition of small, deliberate actions that rewrite who you are at the deepest level. So let's talk about what Musashi would do, and what you're going to start doing tomorrow morning. The practice begins the moment you open your eyes, not when you feel like it, not after you check your phone, not after you've eased into the day, the moment you wake. Musashi believed that hesitation was death. In combat, the warrior who hesitates loses. In life, the man who hesitates stays stuck. So the first act of the day is a test. Can you act immediately, or will you negotiate with yourself? This is where most men lose. They wake up and immediately enter negotiation mode. Maybe 5 more minutes. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I'm too tired. And in that negotiation, they give away their power. They teach their mind that commands are optional, that discipline is conditional. A warrior does not negotiate. So the first rule is this: when you wake, you rise. No delay, no excuses, no comfort. You stand, you move. You prove to yourself that you are in control. This might sound extreme. It's not. It's foundational. Because if you can't command your own body in the morning, you won't command your mind during the day. Musashi trained his body and mind as one unit. He understood that posture shapes psychology. Slouch, and your thoughts weaken. Stand tall, and your mind sharpens. So after you rise, you stand in silence, not checking your phone, not turning on the noise. You stand, feet grounded, shoulders back, spine straight, and you breathe. 3 deep breaths, slow, intentional. In through the nose, out through the mouth.
Sorry, investing, trading, that isn't a personality. You don't need the voice, you don't need the jargon, you don't need podcasts. You already know how to trade. You've done it your whole life. And DD Easy Trade taps into that instinct, so you can build something real. No minimums, no monthly fees, 24-hour support, no investor personality required. Because you are made to trade, and TD Easy Trade is made to help. Download it now.
Frozen lasagna, medium power, 15 minutes. Like Ojo time, let's play.
Feel the fun. Ojo, the online casino with all the latest slot and live casino games. Get 50 free spins on Big Bass Bonanza for new players with no wagering requirements and instant payouts.
Hey, I just won. Woohoo!
Feel the fun, play Ojo. Honey, forget about the lasagna. Let's celebrate. 18 plus first sponsor, excluding Ontario. 50 free spins on Big Bass Bonanza slot. Minimum deposit $10. Please play responsibly. Full time slot.
Looking for a fast, flexible path into an office career? The Administrative Office Professional Certificate at Medicine Hat College can have you job ready in just 8 months. Learn essential office, computer, communication, bookkeeping, and payroll skills, and gain valuable real-world experience through a hands-on work placement. Then you can choose to go further with the Administrative Office Management Diploma. Start your career with confidence at Medicine Hat College. Apply to the Administrative Office Professional Program now at mhc.ab.ca.
Feel like you're missing a piece of your crop protection plan? Whether you need grassy weed control, AC burnout, or by spectrum control, Roundup's private brand crop protection products provide the coverage you're looking for. Find the premium products you need to fit your plan without the brand new prices. When you're planning your spraying season, team member to find your missing piece.
You're not trying to relax. You're centering. You're bringing your awareness into your body. You're reminding yourself, I am here. I am awake. I am in control. This is not meditation in the modern sense. It's preparation. A samurai preparing for battle didn't sit and hope for peace. He sharpened his focus, stabilized his breath, and entered readiness. You are doing the same. You are preparing to face the day, not as a victim of circumstance, but as the one who decides how it unfolds. And here's where it gets deeper. Most people begin their day in reaction mode. They wake up, grab their phone, and immediately flood their mind with other people's thoughts. News, messages, social media, comparison, distraction. They give away their attention before they've even claimed it for themselves. And attention's everything. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your life follows. Musashi understood this. He lived alone in pesky mountains for years, not because he hated people, but because he refused to let the world dictate his focus. He chose silence, solitude, stillness, because in that space, he could hear himself clearly. He could sharpen his mind without interference. You don't need to live in a cave, but you do need to protect your morning. The first hour of your day must be yours, not your boss's, not your girlfriend's, not the algorithms, yours. So after you stand and breathe, you make a decision. No phone for the first hour. Not a single glance. Not just checking. Nothing. This will be hard. Your brain will crave it. It's been conditioned to need that hit of dopamine, that flood of stimulation. But that craving is exactly why you must break it. Because as long as you're controlled by that need, you're not free. You're reactive, you're weak. A warrior controls his impulses. He does not serve them. Instead of scrolling, you move. Physically. Not because you're trying to get fit, though that will happen, but because movement wakes the body, and the body wakes the mind. Musashi trained every morning. Sword work, footwork, conditioning. Not for hours, not with complexity, with precision. He repeated the fundamentals until they became instinct. You will do the same. Your movement practice doesn't need to be elaborate. Push-ups, squats, stretching, a short walk. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you do it, and you do it with full presence. No music, no distraction, just you and the movement. Every rep is intentional. Every breath is controlled. You are teaching your body to obey your will. You are proving that discipline is not a feeling, it's a practice. This is the part where most people make a mistake. They think the goal is to feel good, to get a rush, to be motivated. So when they don't feel it, they skip the practice. They wait for inspiration. But Musashi never waited for inspiration. He trained in rain, in cold, in exhaustion. He trained when he didn't want to, and that's what made him unbeatable. He was consistent when others were comfortable. That's the separation. That's the edge. After movement, you return to stillness. You sit, you reflect. And here's where the real internal work begins. Musashi kept a strict code. He reflected daily on his actions, his thoughts, his alignment with his principles. He asked himself, did I act with clarity? Did I waste energy? Did I serve my path, or did I drift? You will do the same. But instead of vague reflection, you will use structure. Every morning, after your movement, you write 3 things. One thing I will not tolerate today. This could be distraction, complaining, procrastination, self-doubt, comfort-seeking, weakness in any form. You identify it, you name it, and you decide that today you will not allow it to control you. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness. Because once you name the enemy, you can fight it. Most men lose because they don't even know what they're fighting. 2. One action I will take with full commitment, not 10 things. 1. Something specific. Something that moves you closer to who you want to become. It could be finishing a task you've been avoiding. It could be having a difficult conversation. It could be training even though you're tired. One action, non-negotiable. This is your anchor. No matter what happens during the day, this gets done. 3. One principle I will embody. This is the philosophical layer. Musashi didn't just train his body. He cultivated his character. Every day, he chose a principle and lived it fully. You will do the same. Maybe today it's patience. Maybe it's presence. Maybe it's courage. You choose one, and you carry it through your day like a sword. Every decision, every interaction, every moment, you filter it through that principle. This might seem simple. It is. But simple is not easy. And over time, this daily practice will rewire how you think, how you move, how you respond to pressure. Because here's what most people don't understand. Transformation is not an event. It's a compounding of small, deliberate actions repeated until they become identity. 6 months from now, if you've done this every morning, you won't be trying to be disciplined. You'll just be disciplined. You won't be trying to be calm. You'll be calm. You won't be trying to be confident. You'll be confident. Not because you faked it, not because you forced it, but because you practiced it so consistently that it became who you are. That's the Musashi way. That's the path. But here's the part no one talks about. Resistance will come, not from the world, not from other people, from you. There will be mornings when you don't want to get up. Mornings when you feel tired, unmotivated, heavy. Mornings when the bed feels too comfortable and the discipline feels too hard. This is the battlefield. This is where most men surrender. They tell themselves they'll start again tomorrow. They tell themselves one day off won't matter. They tell themselves they deserve rest. And slowly, one missed morning becomes 2. 2 becomes a week. A week becomes a month. And before they know it, they're back where they started. Musashi warned against this. He said, the warrior's way is in training, not in the outcome, not in the result, in the training itself. Because the training is the transformation. If you skip the training, you skip the transformation. It's that simple. But let's go deeper. Why does resistance appear? Why does your mind fight against the very thing you say you want? Because your current identity is comfortable. Even if you don't like who you are, it's familiar. Your brain knows how to operate as that person.
Karishma Okata, J1I, what's up, bro? Hi to ya. Detect Ive 3354 says I don't know type exercise. Yeah, man. Yeah. I need to deepen my exercise and the meditation. I've come a long way. I'm not gonna oh goodness words. Yeah, I've come a long way. But the path of exploration is a never-ending battle, or never-ending journey. So therefore, we will continue. We will stay the path. Like Johnny Cash said, I walk the line. Only in this case, we're not talking about a woman. Unless he wasn't talking about a woman either. But I think he was, yeah. Anyways, I like Johnny Cash. Luz Alonso 698. Luz Alonso 6981 says hi. Kobe Sinky in the house. What's up, bro? Um, I think yeah, I might just switch to just doing the comments after all these. If I am going to deepen my meditation practice and deepen the stretch and all that, I think that's the better outcome if I am truly going to deepen all the things I said I'm going to. And we'll see about the planche push-ups, but I'm very sure I'm going to be able to at least begin the exercise of that since we're practically there. We just need to continue on the path with that. Yeah. I've never had this awareness of my body to the point where it's like constant, just feeling whatever it is, that's pain or joy, just constant feeling. I usually have a sense of disassociation. So this is very new, very interesting feeling. And it continues to interest me, so we'll dive deeper into it and see what comes of it. Okay, we'll let that play, and while we start the match here.
Someone new. And becoming someone new is uncomfortable, uncertain, risky. Your brain interprets that as danger, so it resists. It creates excuses. It floods you with doubt. It makes you feel tired when you're not. It convinces you that discipline is too hard, that you're not built for this, that maybe you're just not that kind of person. This is not truth. This is survival instinct. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. But safe is not the same as strong. Musashi faced this too. In his early years, he fought recklessly. He won duels, but he was driven by ego, by anger, by the need to prove himself. He was skilled, but he was not aligned. It was only when he withdrew from society, when he spent years alone, training in silence, confronting his own mind, that he became truly unbeatable. Because he learned to fight the enemy within. That
Power on.
Yeah. See you in 1 hour. John Sinky, R61 or R6I, Kobe Jack's Cheese Skinny, Pastor Jacob Love, E is God's Son, dot AI. That makes me think on something. It says, hey, how are you doing today, everyone? Yeah, I'm doing great, bro. Doing great, honestly. Yeah. Hope you're doing great too. Hope everyone in the chat that left a comment or didn't is doing decent, or at least on the way to being decent. And it's just like a jump, a skip from there, you know, hop, skip, and jump to being awesome. If you're not already, because it's just a state of mind. Alright. That's it. That's all. Peace.